like to call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. And as a matter of conduct for meeting remotely, I'm going to read the script for remotely conducted meetings. As a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Vandestein, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Stephanie Texera.
Present.
Karen Sepitelli.
Present.
Daniela Sharma.
Present.
Dana Wilson.
Present.
Doug Bowman.
Present.
Martin Essner.
Present.
Excellent. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Beth Galloway.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening. The open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that all public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening by Zoom video conference, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to share screen your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Okay. Finally, each vote in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Very good. I have the agenda in front of me, but Beth, do you mind just sharing at the moment? Okay, thank you. So we didn't have any minutes from October to review, so we'll pass over that. Reviewing of the bills, any questions, comments on the bills that were submitted? Do we know the warrant numbers? Go ahead, Marty.
I thought we had the September 23rd meeting minutes to vote on. There was a little confusion. Beth Patch sent out a reminder to vote on October. I communicated with her. She corrected herself, at least with me, I thought with the whole board, that she actually meant the September 23, I think was the date, which are I have them. If you want, I mean, if you want to skip it, that's okay, but it's there and open for review.
Okay, I wasn't sure that that we had, if we had approved those or not, but you're saying that we have not. Okay, so I think we can approve the September minutes if everybody's had the opportunity to review them and sent any corrections to Beth Patch. Can I get a motion, please, to accept the September minutes?
I make a motion to accept the
To
September
accept the
meetings.
September minutes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I
Oh.
heard Dana, and who would second that? Is that
Second.
Karen? Okay,
Yeah.
Karen, second. All in favor? Aye, Aaron, Marty?
I just have one bit of discussion.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There are two, maybe three little typographical errors on it. Is there some way we can vote to approve, subject to just running the thing through spell check so that those things are done? If not, I'll accept it with the typos.
I would just make sure you submit the typos, even if it's just, a spell check, just, reply to Beth Patch. And I think we can accept it with the typographical corrections that you suggest.
Okay, I've got it as a PDF that I can't mark up, but I'll figure it out. I'll send Beth a note. My vote is affirmative.
Okay, Stephanie,
I will vote to approve it with Marty's corrections.
Mhm.
Aaron,
Same, yes.
Daniela,
I move to approve.
Dana,
I will vote it with corrections as noted.
and Doug.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. On to review of the bills.
It's warrant number 21, which went out on Wednesday of our last meeting, through 25, which went out the end of last week.
Okay, any questions, comments on the bills?
I'm sorry. Are we doing 21 through 25?
Yeah,
Okay.
21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Usually there's 4 in between, but I
Okay,
had
thank
gotten
you.
one out early, so
I just didn't understand what you said. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Very good. Any other further discussion? Okay, could I have a motion, please, to approve the warrants 21 through 25? Marty,
I move that we approve warrants 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25.
very good. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Marty,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Daniela,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
and Doug?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, on to the MPLCP Building Program Grant, Beth.
So construction is trucking along. They are still, I believe, on schedule to have a substantial completion for June 8th, 2021. If you've driven by, you've seen they've put up a lot of the exterior brickwork at this point. Thank you, Doug. There's a nice snow and frost covered photo. They've done a lot of interior framing of individual rooms. And the whole thing is buttoned up in that, everything's contained. People need to be masked all the time because it's an inside job at this point. Progress is trucking along.
So I was really impressed with how symmetrical the building is when you look at it from the Grafton inside.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that, when we were talking about the project initially, with historical buildings, they tend to not be so matchy, but I found that it almost looks identical on the left and right, the way that they structured, at least that side of the building.
If you look close, there's a lot more ornamentation on the old part of the building with the
Yes.
palladium window and the town seal and the brickwork. And that's deliberate so that there's a cleaner, modern look. And then the new section is also smaller. So it almost looks kind of like you're looking at it from an angle with it getting, a little smaller in the distance. but it's just really beautifully bookended and well designed. And Andy sent around, I don't know if I shared it with this group, I know Dana and Doug have probably seen it, a photo that he took or that Ron took from the inside. If you had like walked into the common entrance and stood looking down, so you could see the old main reading room where the circ desk used to be. And there were those two entrances that led, one to the stacks and one to the staircase with a bookshelf in between, and that bookshelf is gone. So now you've got this straight sight line as you come in that common entrance, looking all the way down to the Palladium window at the new end of the building that's over the new entrance.
Can I just add, we're calling that our $1 million view.
Yeah.
But we have to, it's not, Andy is so cool. He's like, I'm going to clean it all up, Dana. Don't worry, I'm going to do this and that. I'm like, all right, great. I mean, I knew it when he sent it to me. I sent it back and I said, this is your $1 million view. He was just he's jumping up and down. He's just doing such a great job. And all the crew there, they're very hardworking and they're doing a fabulous job.
I was looking to see if I had it to share, but I don't think I do.
We'll get a better one. I'll work with Andy.
And I don't know, I asked him to take some pictures too. I'm a little afraid to share them. They're the main reading room. And one of the first things that happened, we all vacated and moved, and there's some stripped paper. It's really cool and Gothic looking because the paint is all peeling. It'll be fixed.
I know. I don't know if I'd share that yet.
Yeah.
Because it looks, we didn't do anything wrong. 3 days. In 3 days,
Yeah.
Everything started peeling.
Humidity and exposure.
Yeah.
The paint started peeling.
But it is what it is.
There's been some conversation about additional possible use of the marble that came out of the mezzanine, not the mezzanine, below the mezzanine where the adult fiction was. So we'll keep you updated if that happens. Interiors subcommittee has been meeting and did finalize. Oh, that's an awesome picture of the skylight. Thanks, Doug. So we did finalize carpet and tile and all of that. And then somebody said, if there's marble left over, can that go closer to the main reading room again? Like by the ramp maybe, or on the stairs. So. And then I guess the landscaping had a really good meeting, and a lot of people want to help make the site really beautiful, which is so exciting. To keep tossing around ideas.
How are we doing with the overflow budget? Have we had to dip into that since the last discussion?
Yeah, it's under I think it's under $500,000, but they keep, every building committee meeting, they say, we've gotten a lot of like the surprises out of the way with now that we're up and out of the ground. So we're not anticipating any more, major change orders. I think it's over 400,000.
Okay. I thought it was more like 700. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
That's good for me to know.
Yeah, 473. I forget.
Okay.
I did put it in the, so I have to submit a report to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, and I'm trying to be conscientious and also put them on our website. So they're always 2 months behind. So January, the November report will be due, and I just put up the October one, I think, on the library page.
Very good. Any other discussion or questions for Beth? And
So
please go
I
ahead.
see things popping up in chat, and that's not captured when we record the meeting. So don't be shy. Speak up if you have something to say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with Karen. Okay. She hit it. You're right, Karen. I wouldn't have figured that out.
Right. What I typed was the skylight reminds me the contemporary wing at the Museum of Fine Arts.
Neat.
Yep.
That
got it.
is what that looks like.
And Stephanie, please.
Beautiful.
So I saw it for the first time since the construction started just this past week. And when you walk in the entrance off the common, the old clock above where the old circulation desk used to be is still there. And I love that kind of sight of seeing the clock into the new area. And I've driven by it 100 times because I live in the center of town now. And it is so I don't know. It's like the space is just very grand when you're in it. And when you drive by it, that's one of the beautiful things about the design. I have to say that I just am so impressed with what they did with that, and not kind of overtaking the look that already exists in the common. I just was so excited the whole time I was there.
So I'm just checking Andy's November report, which is available borrowing is $472,548 as of December 7th when we met.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Excellent. Well, thank you, Beth.
Sure.
Okay. So we have the budget update. Just going to put Dana on mute for the moment. Actually, could you do that, please, Beth?
I thought I was on mute, sorry.
No worries.
So I sent a draft FY22 budget to everybody to look at after Doug and Karen and I met to talk about some of the issues. I did turn in a substantial budget to Carter, who said if it's not under $1 million, we can't even talk. We know, about how much new growth we're going to get. We know that the schools will need a piece of it. Other departments have needs. It doesn't matter that we've had no new equipment for 2 years and that our staffing requests have been turned down. We simply fairly can't have it all. So I did give him a revised one on the 15th by the deadline that he set, that brought the total budget to under $1 million for FY22. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at it and can share any, questions or issues that you have. Some of the things that we're contending with are that we need to, by state law, meet a total municipal appropriation, which means that our library budget should be growing by an average of the last 3 years, plus 2.5%, and there's a whole formula. And every October, I have to fill out financial statements that the chair of the trustees has to sign saying, yeah, we met that financial requirement. Additionally, by state law, we have to spend 15% of the budget on materials for the public, which is everything from, remember, maps and globes that they use in the library to databases they use remotely from home and ebooks to physical things that they check out, whether that's a comic book, a kit, a magazine, a DVD. I did have a call with MBLC today, and they reminded me that actually, while they require us to spend 15% on materials, it doesn't all have to actually come from the municipal side. So one of my concerns is that the budget that I turned in to get all the staff that I absolutely have to cover the 5 service desks that we will now have in our almost 26,000 square foot facility, is I suggested reducing the book budget to 12% instead of 15% of the municipal appropriation. And MBLC said there's 2 ways you can do that. One, you could take a cut in state aid. Like, there's not actually a waiver process for that if you still meet all the other requirements like hours open and certified library director and reciprocal borrowing and all that, which we do anyway. But she said that you'd have a reduction, which is they would take a percentage off the grant that they give us. She said also you're operating 58 hours a week and you're actually over where you need to be for your population. But if you added 1 hour a week, so you're open 59 hours a week, then you only have to do a 13% materials appropriation instead of 15%. So we don't have to decide today. She did remind me that it doesn't matter what you're submitting for your budget right now, because really we're not going to be asking you about this until FY23, really like October for the previous year. So one of the issues, one of the reasons the budget is so big is while we do have a great new state-of-the-art HVAC system going in, that's helping us get lead points and is energy efficient, it's still gonna, the prediction is it's gonna drive the cost of utilities up by 3 times as much. And we also are investing in an automated materials handler specifically so that we don't have to keep adding more staff to handle volume of check-in and check-out. And there is a significant, almost $20,000 worth of software licensing that comes with that piece of hardware, which is still less than a single staff person working all year with benefits to check in and check out the books. And one person, like the machine takes care of like 4 people. One person couldn't do the volume that the machine does. So the budget I presented has a significant increase for utilities, some staffing increases, a significant increase for licensing, which is contracted services, and then a book budget that's actually lower than last year. And if any of you have creative problem solving, please send me, ask questions here, but also send me an email for, do you really need this thing, or do you really need that thing? Or we could also be paying for some things out of state aid. I hate to say that I shouldn't, it's not set in stone. MBLC doesn't want to see you use state aid for operating expenses year to year. But we could say that we need to make an exception this year, and all $16,000 of the programming budget is going to be paid for by our state aid grant. And then that reduces the municipal budget, allows the book budget to be lower, and kind of makes everything balance out. I don't think it's a good practice in general. It's really for pilot projects and emergencies, but we can use it for anything from staffing to programs to collections. So that's a lot. Happy to take questions.
Yeah, so I think I saw a hand from Dana and then from Doug, but my first, just a quick question. Do you happen to know what the budget was for the old space versus the new space? Because I know you're in an interim. I don't want to compare it to where you are now.
Right. Yeah, so it's about $100,000 increase, a little bit more.
The 1.2 million
Oh,
that you had before.
So I'm not even looking at the $1.2 million budget anymore. Like, I can't do it. The town just can't do it. We can't do it. So I'm looking at the $999,810. I think was the final price. So it's about $120,000 more. I think I had requested $882,000 last year, and it got trimmed back to like $861,000. So when I look at the whole town budget, I'm looking at an $861,000 appropriation for the current fiscal year that we're in right now.
Yeah, and that represents a 16% increase over last year.
Yeah.
So based on where you were before, I guess the 890,000, I'll say, took care of really all the programs and staffing needs, and we didn't feel like we had any cuts. But the new space really has that much of a requirement, and we knew that.
Yeah.
But I guess we didn't know that we'd have to be so thin, I guess.
Yeah. So we had, in the old space, remember, we had the one circ desk that housed 2 staff upstairs, but then there was always on the periphery of that room, Heidi, Eileen, and Donna, and even me coming in and out of my office to jump in on the desk and help out. Which allowed the circ department, which was Susan, a full-timer, and 2 part-time 20-hour people, to staff the desk fully. But, one of the issues is that every time, I leave my office and help a patron, which I love to do, then my work is not getting done. And Donna, like the cataloging and acquisitions and the stuff that Donna does is a full-time job by itself. The accounting and magazine stuff that Eileen does is a full-time job by itself. And the 2 of them really should not be on a public service desk at all, because they have full-time work to support the institution that they need to be doing. So when we shifted over to St. Andrews, they had their own spaces finally to get their work done. And now Susan didn't have any staff, because when you're open 58 hours a week and you need 2 people on the desk 58 hours a week, that's a lot of hours. And with 75 hours of staff. So yes, we were adequate because we were pulling people from other departments, but we were still severely understaffed in terms of if we had a children's room and a adult services department. And because the children's room advocated to get their own staffing, they were actually pretty self-sufficient in the old building, where they always had 2 on the desk and then somebody kind of in the office who was doing off-desk work, planning programs, or off-site doing school outreach, but who could be available if needed. And that's, the bare minimum that we really need for this new building, which is big, is 2 people, 1 at each end of the building upstairs, and 1 in teen and 1 in YA, and 1 by the front door because there's 5 desks, and then really a floater to manage. And when MBLC insisted that we needed this service desk by the door, I said, people, they're going to walk in, they're going to figure out intuitively, because of the great design, where to go. We don't need someone to direct people. But I didn't think about the AMH machine, which is going to need turnover at least every hour. The items go in on a conveyor belt through a slot and get checked in, and then they drop into a bin. And those bins will need to be emptied and the items put on a shelf so that they can be reshelved. So juggling that and helping people with the self-check and helping whoever's in the meeting room, and somebody at the Friends Cafe wants to, buy something and they don't have change, like there is a need for a person to be at that space at all times. So the budget that I presented does that, my concern is we're going to be in big trouble if like 2 people are sick at the same time.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
Yeah.
Dana, please.
I guess what I want to make clear is the budget we're working on now, this is the one it's for the town's budget. Is it 2021?
So we're technically in fiscal year 21 now because after January 1st, right?
Okay, but it's
yeah, so it's for next July.
Okay, for next
July
July.
20, July
Well,
21.
we're in the middle of a pandemic. I think we've been really good. If you look at what we've done, we haven't really used state aid to really keep the library going. We've used it when we had to buy air conditioners because that was when the municipal building was all being they had new air conditioners, and we thought we were able to work with Tim McInerney, if I recall, and we actually even bought or used some of the air conditioning units they weren't going to use. But I really think that we should think about it because we're in the middle of all this. I think, you know, these are really hard times for everybody. I would be for really looking at to see if state aids can help. And I like the idea of just doing 1 more hour and then you reduce that. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I think really what I would recommend, and something that I've been wanting to do anyway, is to just stay open until 6 on Friday and Saturday. And I
know
do
someone
think
that would love that.
we'll see lots of traffic. So the issue is going to be that it might make more sense to have, only, 3 people in the building at from 9 to 10 and count on light traffic because we will get more slammed at the end of the day.
People have been asking for that. I have a teenager that he thinks it's open to 6. I'm like, it isn't. Yes, it is. I'm like, no, it isn't.
And then the other option, because we want consistency, right? So it doesn't make sense to say we need 1 more hour. So Fridays only, we're open till 6. Another option would be to try opening at 9:30, and that would give you another 2 hours a week. Staff would come in at 9, still have a half an hour to set up or do things without interruption, and then you could open 9:30 to 5. Don't have to decide it tonight. I'm just throwing out options.
I thought that was a great idea, Beth. Thank you for thinking of that and researching it.
Yeah. I will also say I learned both from the call with MBLC today and by participating in another online directors forum Zoom meeting, we are going to see a 20% increase in our state aid award for this year because of COVID and because of MBLC's advocacy to get help and relief for libraries. And we are fortunate to date that, even though some of our expenses are low, you might have seen as you looked at the budget that I shared, the town has not come to appropriate anything away from the library. We do have a staff member who's left and a vacancy, and I don't have a strong need to fill all 20 of those hours because we're not open to the public. So a few people are going to get more hours, but I'd like to actually offer some of those hours back to the town so that they can staff somebody at the municipal center to be, doing self-certification for people who are coming in from the public once we get back to appointments.
Okay.
Would that still be part of your budget then?
It would be on the condition that I retain the position for July 1st. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Dana. Anything else? So I saw Doug and then Stephanie. Go ahead, Doug.
Mine's real quick. Do we know what our state aid balance is right now? Because we get, if I remember correctly, we get about 18,000 a year. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been going up. It's between 18 and 20, 21. And I can run a report and send it out. I thought that we have quite a bit in the bank. I thought it was around $71,000 the last time I ran the report, because it's a couple of years worth. So it may be higher than that. We tend not to dip into it because specifically we know we've been saving it because the trustees made a commitment to the capital campaign for $125,000, which is 5 years worth of state aid. Carter did ask how much was in the account. And he said, my recommendation would be that you not bank it. You shouldn't really be hanging on to more than 2 years worth of that money. And I said, absolutely, I agree. We have spent it down, but right now we are banking for the specific construction purpose. So. Okay. And Dana, I think you're on mute. I have another question.
Yeah, Dana, did you have something in response to Doug?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to know, do we still have what we were going to give to the capital campaign somewhere in all those endowment and gift accounts?
Yeah, that's another report that we could run. I don't think we were up to that amount with all of the endowments, but I know that we still have the WELOC fund, which I thought once that hits $100,000, it's available for spending again.
Well, if you could
No.
research that
Yeah,
for
I
us
can send
before
that
we
out.
make a determination, because I would be for using some of state aid funds, but we do need to be able to have what we've promised we would spend on the capital campaign. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep,
I agree.
good point. Great, thank you. Anything else, Doug? Okay, Stephanie, please.
Hi, I was, Beth, wondering if you could just with, the hours changing and staff leaving, could you just really quickly run down who you have, maybe not necessarily who, but like where your full-time employees are, so that either like the adult section or the children's section, just so that we're kind of up to date in that.
Yeah. So right now we have one full-time person for adult services, 35 hours a week. And she supervises two 20-hour positions, one of whom left December 9th. She also supervises two temps, both who are working 10 hours, and she supervises a 10-hour page. And then we have a 35-hour technical services librarian who does the cataloging and acquisitions. We have a 35-hour, we're calling her the library accounts manager. She's kind of like the bookkeeper. She does a lot of mail and correspondence and billing and invoice and takes care of bills for us. We have a full-time young adult librarian, 35 hours a week. Full-time children's librarian, 35 hours a week. She supervises a 30-hour position, a 25-hour position, a 20-hour position, an 8-hour position. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. 35, 30, 25, 20, and 8. Is that what I said? It's 5 people. Because I might have missed somebody. We have a full-time reference librarian, 35 hours. Beth Patch does 30 hours for us. It's a mix of scribing for the board. It was originally a 4-hour position. She probably spends 8 hours though, minutes and meetings and everything. And the rest of that is support staff. What am I forgetting? It's like 17 people.
Custodian?
Custodian is actually not under my jurisdiction. So that's somebody that's employed by, flying here, by Mr. Berger in the building department. And I believe he is a 35-hour employee and he comes to the library about 15 hours a week. It's about 3 hours, 5 days a week. And sometimes it's a little less and sometimes it's a little more depending on availability and our needs. But he's not in my budget and not technically part of my staff.
That was when we wanted to add, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I just would add two comments, right? Is we have our libraries open more than one FTE day, right? So even though you have a full-time person, they can't actually cover every day that the library is open without somebody else.
Yeah, our when we're open to the public, the operating hours had been 10 to 9, which is
right.
Yeah.
And then
7 hours.
Sorry, my second point was that when someone's running a program, children's librarians running the program, they're not in that room anymore. So, you need someone to be in that room to help out any of the normal patrons, ideally.
Yeah, it's a great shell game, honestly. And the other thing, if Sarah who's an amazing children's librarian, if she does a 20-minute or 30-minute story time, what you don't see as a member of the public is the 2 hours of planning and prep and getting the books and reading the books and cutting out, finger play, doing the finger plays, the puppets. Like, it's what makes it a great early literacy program, and it can't be replaced by a volunteer reading a book. But there's 4 times as much prep time for a program like that as the actual program time. Thanks for Susan Lido, who goes to Crescent Manor once a month and basically does a little bookmobile kind of a program for them. There's her travel time. There's pulling all that stuff together, being there for the hour or 2 hours, and then you're back to the library. So we can't just say, oh, great, she's doing a program from 1 to 2. You really need a lot of room on each side of any, whether it's a meeting or doing, story time for the schools. having a school library tour. Like, it's not just a matter of, okay, well, for this hour, we're only missing somebody for an hour. You're really missing somebody for 2.5 to 3 hours if they're going to be doing a program or going to a meeting or event. And those things are so vital. So I really tried to, as I was looking at the staffing and filling in who could be at which desk when. And believe me, I am going to be on that public desk, and so is the cataloger and the accountant, and even Miss Batch probably, because everyone's going to have to take a shift. I was also conscious of, and here's when there's going to be story time, and here's when there's probably going to be, adult book group, and here's probably when we'll fit in an after school thing. And oh yeah, Miss Kristen runs her book group, and we really want Heidi at the farmers market every Wednesday that she can sit there to be doing outreach. Those things, like, we don't want to lose those things. I don't see how we can grow our programming in the new building with a skeletal crew, but we at least need to maintain it, I think.
I just have one follow-up question, if I may.
I forgot myself.
That's okay. No, you listed 17 people, and then I assumed you. You mentioned one full-time youth librarian, and then one full-time children's librarian who, supervises 5 other people. Are those people going back and forth between the young adult and the children's? Because otherwise, it looks like we only have one person in that space.
The youth librarian is the young adult librarian serving 12 to 18. It's Allison Kusher. And then Sarah supervises 5 staff. She's the children's librarian serving 0 to 12. And the 2 of them do team up to do programs for tweens, which is the 9 to 13, 14 age range. And Allison is super flexible. We pulled her to work on the circulation desk. Like, she has an MLS, she can cover reference. So she does teen services, but she's been a great floater. And she'll help cover as needed. But the children's department is pretty self-sufficient with those, Sarah and the 5 staff.
Thank you.
Yeah, do remember, so in the new building though, we have a young adult room. And because Allison, like, she can't clone herself, and we can't make her work 4 nights a week when the teens are there. Like, one of the positions we really need is somebody to offset her Saturday she doesn't work and the 2 nights that she doesn't work, because that's when the kids will be there. And I'm actually recommending, with the schedule and the low staffing, that when school is not in session, the young adult room is going to have to be closed because it will be unsupervised, and it's just not safe. So, which is sad.
That was the root of my question, is I didn't know if one of those 5 from the children's would cover, so that we didn't have to close.
Yeah. Then we'll be shorting the children's room, which really is going to be busy and need 2 people all hours that they're open.
Okay.
They'll be able to look over because there's a glass divider, and they can kind of see when things are getting crazy and rambunctious, but then they have to go, through the door and over there, and then leave the children's room unattended.
Okay, so I saw Dana's hand. Anybody else want to comment to Beth during the meeting regarding the budget? Otherwise, she invited all of us to send her an email with some creative ideas. I think that's a great idea. I like your enthusiasm in really supporting the town in this initiative too, because it's hard to cut anything from any department in town. But I do like that, you're working with the town and Carter, and working with all of us to get that under, where we need it to be. So thank you. Please.
I will also say, I think I need to go back to the company providing the AMH machine. Mm-hmm. And like, if I can ask them, can you just extend the license for 3 months? Because we're going to get it installed in like May or June. And I shouldn't have to pay for that again the following May and June. Like, it should push to the next fiscal year. And that would actually be a really big help. They can say no.
Yeah.
But we can't get the software from anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a couple $1,000s, right?
It's $18,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 20 with the self-checks and the gates. Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Well, I have some experience with software and contract negotiations, so let me know if you need me to work with any of your vendors and help you out. Okay, Dana, please.
I was just going to say, I'm going to look at this like we're coming out of a pandemic. It's our first year, so we may not be able to do everything that we want to do if we're going to be able to meet what the town is able to afford. But hopefully things will improve once the pandemic's over and we have more revenue coming in. And the people are going to be using the library, so we can't shut them away. We can't really be closing the library. I think that's going to be difficult to do because before we had to close it because, well, I guess it's the same thing. We don't have enough staff, but let's see what happens. I'm optimistic. I mean, you know, and I love how you're thinking about it, Beth. And I will look at the budget, and so will everybody else. I think we really have to think out of the box. I think that's an old saying, but okay.
We'll make it work.
Thank you.
Thanks for your input, everybody. I really appreciate it. So do take another look at it and send questions. It's not set in stone yet.
Great. Thanks, Beth. So on to IT update.
So I ordered a new computer.
I'm sorry, I skipped the Grafton Public Capital Library Capital Campaign. Oh, and I'm sorry, I need to jump back on something as well that Stephanie mentioned to me. She said we didn't second the approval of the warrants, and she's happy to second the approval of the warrants.
Yeah, so I'll second it. Marty had mentioned it, and then we just did the roll call. So jumping back, I will second the motion to accept the warrants 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Okay, motion made and seconded, and we all approved. Very good, thank you. Okay, sorry, Dana, I apologize, and Doug, please, the Grafton Public Library Capital Campaign.
Okay, I'll just say a few things. Things are going well. As you know, we're doing Zoom meetings, and we're doing everything, all the safety requirements required for COVID-19, and it seems to be working out quite well. I have to say that I'm very appreciative of the trustees that have come and toured and also have pledged. We're having some really exciting pledges from our former trustees and our current trustees. So I want to thank them for that. And we will continue in that vein. So we know that, well, Christmas is coming. We're still on the phone calling and talking to people, and we're just going to keep on going until, we're just not going to stop. So we can always do Zoom calls, and we'll just keep on going along. And it's really, we're doing well, and there's a lot of enthusiasm, and everybody's working really well as a team. So I just want to thank everybody who's helped us. I don't know if Doug has anything to add. We've been working really closely with Andy, and that's really been helpful. We do a lot of brainstorming, and right now we're coming up with, I will be sending later this evening. I sent something to Beth, but I'm going to be, we're looking for new things to name. And actually, we ended up naming a room that we hadn't anticipated. And so we're pretty excited about that. And that kind of got me in the mode of thinking. So I'm thinking, moving around the whole beautiful library and seeing there are other spaces that we can name. So we're working on that right now. I'm working on that with Doug and Beth. Doug and Dawn and Hope and Carrie. So we're really pleased. We're doing well. We appreciate everybody's help. I don't know if you have anything to add, Doug. He's been really busy too.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any questions, comments for Dana in the capital campaign? Very good. Well, thank you, Dana and Doug, for your work. I hear lots of good things from Dana. She keeps me updated, so thank you for that. And anybody who's interested in learning more about the capital campaign, please reach out to Dana directly. Excellent, thank you. So on to the IT update. Have you had a bite to eat yet, Beth? Okay, great.
Rice and beans, and it's delicious. So IT update. I did order a new computer for Beth Patch, and I'm still waiting for a tracking number. I thought that it was going to get shipped within 48 hours and would have been at the library by today, so that the IT person who we scheduled could come and set it up for her. But we do not have it yet. And I asked for a tracking number this morning and did not get a response back from GovConnect, now Connection. So it's on its way, but we don't have it yet. And then my new laptop that I purchased in June died 2 days ago. It's under warranty, so I'm hoping to get it completely replaced. I believe that the processor fried. I was ironically doing a backup when it happened, and while it's been running warm the whole time that I've had it. But I'm careful I don't put it on a soft surface, and I don't use it for long periods of time. And my computing was just too much for it. So I'm gonna get a replacement for it, but the old one still works. So it's missing a key and it's a little slow, but I'm okay for now.
But so you've sent that in for like warranty repair or working through that process?
Not yet. I just got a phone number yesterday, because we were in the pandemic when I bought it. So I actually had it, I think, shipped to the house. So the box, the original Lenovo box that it's in is right downstairs, and I will be able to pack it up and ship it back to, I think IBM owns Lenovo, whoever they tell me to send it to. And I'm pretty good about where I save things. So anything that I lose will be things that were sitting in my downloads folder, which I have already sent to somebody or archived somewhere else. I'm not worried about any, data loss, and nothing that I do. I'm a public employee. Nothing I do is confidential anyway. So
That's a good point, though. If you want someone to back up your hard drive, because the hard drive is probably fine, I can back it up before you ship it in, because if it's easy to take out, I can take it out, back it up, put it back in for you to ship back.
Okay.
Unless Lenovo is going to offer that service.
If they offer it, I'll let them do it. My next door neighbor could also do it for me. So my not brother-in-law. Thank you. Yeah, he's right next door. So yeah, so that was unanticipated. I did offer to Beth Patch that I could get her a dongle and an Ethernet cable, because one of her concerns at home was speed. So I'll probably just buy that out of Office Supply and ship it directly to her house, because it's so much faster if you can plug right into your router instead of relying on your home Wi-Fi to do work. I don't think I have anything else IT related. Nothing going on.
That's pretty significant, though. That's for
It
sure.
is. Do we? So I was
Yes.
hoping, because I have no equipment line, that we could pay for Beth's laptop out of state aid. It's less than $1,000. I don't have an invoice yet because it hasn't shipped. I have a quote for $938.66. You don't need to necessarily make a motion, but I wanted to alert you, because when you pay the bills and you sign off on the bills, you can do a vote then to pay for it out of state aid. So however you want to handle it is fine. You can also tell me no, and then I'll have to go scrounge and find money elsewhere to cover it.
So I think most of the trustees are in the loop on the laptop replacement. So I'd like to see if the board will approve up to an X amount of money out of state aid in order to pay for that expense. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, very good. So okay. Am I allowed to make a motion? It's just something that I've never done, being the chair. Doug, you were the chair before me. Am I allowed to make a motion?
I'm not sure if I recall, but I'll make the motion for you if you'd
Yeah,
like.
please.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to set aside up to $1,000 from state aid for the purchase of the laptop.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
very good. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye.
I just have one question.
Please.
Does that include shipping also, or is the shipping going to put us just over the 1,000?
That's a good question. So on the quote I have, shipping is $0. It's part of the contract. They're sending it to us. The total cost of the machine was $938.66. So
All right.
if they do
right.
end up charging for shipping, we can still cover it.
It's a
It'll
good
still
time.
cover
It's a
it.
good time
Okay.
to buy a laptop because it's holiday season. So there's lots
Yeah.
of deals.
Okay. I just wanted to check on that.
Yep, perfect.
That may explain why you don't have a tracking number yet. It's because they didn't charge you for shipping and they haven't shipped it.
Marty knows where it's at.
Yes.
It's a tricky little deal.
He said ordered, and he gave me an order number. So
There you go.
Okay, any further discussion? Excellent. Well, all in favor, Aaron, aye. Marty?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Daniela?
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
and Stephanie.
Aye.
Very good. Well, thank you for that update. And Beth was very appreciative when she contacted me about a new machine. I know that was a point of stress for her. Great. So what do we have next on the agenda?
Friends update.
Yes. Dana, you've been in touch with the Friends group, correct?
Yes. Yes, I have been. We were supposed to meet on Tuesday and the meeting didn't happen. So I have to get back in touch and see what's up. So Doug, Dawn, and I were going to meet. We're going to do a Zoom call with the Friends. So I will contact them. I'll do that. I'll do that this evening and ask them when is it going to be rescheduled.
Okay, thank you. Anybody in the know about Friends activities for December? I know they're quite active around the holidays with fundraising and whatnot. No?
They were doing newsletters and all kinds of things. I know they were very busy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you. Please keep us posted, Dana.
Certainly.
On to, well, I think we can table landscape garden. But back to Friends update. So the membership, we tend to apply as or renew our membership as a board. So I would say, be prepared to renew your membership in January. I think a individual for the year is maybe $10 and then $25 for the family. I'm not sure if they've changed that, but Dana, maybe when you're in touch with them, let them know that generally we like to renew our memberships in January. If they could, pass along a flyer or whatnot.
Okay, I'll get that and I'll pass it to everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll table landscape garden. COVID-19 update. Beth.
I do want to see one thing about landscape garden, and that's that Beth Patch spearheaded the library's participation in the Grafton Celebrates the Holidays Home and Business Decorating Contest. And it looks really great. So if you have a chance to drive by and take a look at it, it was also, I guess I just didn't realize we needed this. It was really good for staff morale, as was the gift from the trustees. So the landscape and garden is looking really nice right now with holiday trees and snowmen and a celebration of winter festivals and holidays from around the world. So thank you so much to Beth, who's not here tonight, for all the work that she did on that. COVID-19 update is that the town has been designated a COVID red town. And that was just after the governor had made a recommendation for the whole state, I think, to go back to phase 1, step 3. Now, the library has remained at phase 1, step 2, offering curbside service, staff reporting on a staggered schedule, not more than 25% of staff reporting at any one time, and following, a complete cleaning regime and doing self-certification every time a staff member comes to work to say that they are in good health, have not knowingly been in contact with anyone who has COVID, and people are opting to self-quarantine if that's not the case, if they are a close contact or suspect somebody has it. So as far as I'm concerned, we can continue to do business as usual unless the trustees feel otherwise, until the town determines that no, we should take further steps and have all staff go back to remote work, which would kind of be like the next logical thing. So the municipal center, which had been open to the public by appointment only and had all department heads reporting back full time, and then some staff still staggering, has now gone to no public in the building, and they're probably going to go to a staggered staff schedule like we have now next week. We're waiting for some more information from Carter, but I think once we're a code red town for 3 weeks, then everything kind of goes back to lockdown. And so far, staff seem to continue to feel comfortable coming into work. They feel safe with the people that they're working with. We've had one patron say, you know what, never mind with Grafton in red now. I don't feel comfortable coming to collect my materials. We said, okay, that's fine. We'll just reshelve them for you. And at the same time, we also have people calling and saying, so who is open? What library can I go to get my materials? And in the directors meeting that I sat in on today, I think 88 libraries had responded. I think at one time, at least half of them had opened for some period of time to the public, but everyone in CW Mars is rolling back to curbside only because of rising threat of the pandemic.
Well, that's actually quite shocking because you'd think that if everything is closed and things begin to open, especially libraries, that they are now deciding to close their doors, especially a town like Westboro. I'm not sure what their status is, but they were one of the first that I heard of that was opening their doors.
Yeah.
Well, they must be rolling back. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
They're rolling back. They were open last Saturday. I had a friend go because I told her about it, but I bet they're closed now, according to Beth's description.
Yeah, I didn't. There is a list that I can send out.
That's okay.
But yeah, because what happens is somebody on another library staff, either someone in their family gets exposed, or they are quarantining because they think they have it, and then the library shuts down and cleans.
I think if we can continue what we're doing now and the staff is happy, then that would be great. But, I would leave that up to Beth, to really keep her finger on that and see how things are going. I appreciate you being open, at least to the extent that you are.
Yeah, some libraries are not doing curbside every day or on Saturday or even any night. So even though we have not been able to open for browsing, we really have made ourselves available. And we provided lots of opportunity for people to pick up physical materials, even though they don't get to pick them out themselves. I don't know if any other library of our size is doing 6 days a week in one night for curbside.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say that I agree with Dana. Beth has her finger on the pulse of the staff that are working there, and curbside is a great service that we offer the town, and I think without that, servicing the public from the library perspective will be very limited again. And I hate to have to go take that step back. So as long as you guys are still comfortable doing the curbside, then I'll support that. Any other commentary from other trustees? Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Beth, for continuing to do the good work that you do and get people what they need during the pandemic.
And I'll just say thanks again to all of you for your support and helping me to keep the staff and our public safe.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, so next we have the staff appreciation. Well, thank you. It seems like it was very well appreciated. Me and the boys had a really fun time putting those packages together. So I thank every one of the trustees for contributing, to make that a success for them. And I hope that the pandemic badges were a big hit because Daniela and I kind of went back and forth as to what we thought would be a great fit. And I'm like, well, those are perfect, and so there was like 6 or 7 that were left. And I felt that, we didn't, if any one badge didn't really speak to somebody, because we just kind of put them in and like, okay, we think, this person might do yoga and this person might do online learning and, or do some home workouts or something and, or do some bread baking, really cool stuff. And, but, we put a swap in and Beth said it was okay, that she think that would be fine to put in the kitchen so they could swap out if they felt another one spoke to them. So that was fun. Great. So Town Administrator Search Committee update, Karen.
All right, that worked. Let's see. We have now interviewed a total of 7 candidates out of all the applicants. A lot of very strong people there. It's going to be a tough decision getting it down to 3. So we are meeting tomorrow to do that, to go from 7 to 3, and then send those 3 candidates on to the select board for their interview process. So I am highly confident we are going to end up with a fantastic town administrator, because I just say, I would not want to be the one making this final decision. It's hard enough bringing it down to 3, so. They're very good, and we have had some of the candidates just mention right on their own that, you know, they visit their local library and stuff like that. So that's always nice to hear. And one who actually talked about doing a book club with the municipal employees. Just, you know, a chapter at a time to keep it usable. But I liked that idea. I was like, ooh. So anyway, so hopefully by next month's meeting, we'll have some information. Yes, Doug?
Just what's the target to hire somebody? Is there a target date? I mean, I know there's a process, but are they looking for a specific date to hopefully finish this search?
That might have been said, and I don't remember exactly what it is. It's going on to, we'll have the list to the select board, I believe, by next week. And then by that point, it will be a matter of scheduling and things like that. So.
Okay, yep.
Yep, my understand, I think there was something mentioned about, you know, how long it might take to onboard somebody, but it's, as far as I know, there isn't like, we're definitely not waiting till like the next fiscal year or anything like that, so.
So I have a question, Karen.
Mhm.
So you're interviewing candidates through Zoom, is that right? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
So I guess coming into a town like Grafton, it's very big, doesn't have a lot of businesses and industry, as you know, a town, some of our neighboring towns do. You know, are they a little intimidated? Are you finding because of the financial position of the town? I mean,
We've had
Beth just had
comments
to
from,
make quite a cut
yeah,
for the library budget, but go ahead.
we've had some comments that they're very impressed with our finances and things like that. And for some of these candidates, Grafton would be a much bigger town than what they're in. And for other candidates, it would be a much smaller town. I mean, Grafton is large or small depending on who you're comparing us to.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Because I feel, I don't know the reasons that Tim left,
Mhm.
but I feel that maybe the financial status of Grafton may have been something that would scare someone away, you
Mhm.
know. So that's interesting.
Nope, definitely does not seem to have scared anybody away. And I don't know why Tim left either, but, you know, in talking with some people, you know, some people have said, you know, a town the size of Grafton, you know, keeping a TA for 14 years is really good, because you know,
That's good
all
to
the
hear.
small town politics here. So,
Mhm. Great, thank you, Karen.
yeah,
Any
thanks.
other commentary for Karen?
Yep, Dana?
Oh, we can't hear you,
You're
Dana.
muted.
You can just give us an overview, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you feel
Yep.
confident that there's good representation.
Yes, there is. I mean, I found myself putting together like my own little scoring system, like you see the teachers use for the kids at school, because we have a listing of all the different points that were asked about during the interviews. So I've been going through and giving everyone a score from 1 to 5 on each of the different things, because yeah, it is hard. It
Yeah.
is very hard going from 7 to 3. So
Well, I appreciate all your work. I think
yeah, it's a great group of people, and yeah, it's going very well. And I mean, over Zoom, it's going just fine. So, you know, thank goodness for Zoom at this point.
yeah, and I would say that the town's been in good shape. So, I mean, financially, so We should be looked at as a very good town to join, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, what's been mentioned also is the fact that, the town as a whole, I mean, we voted to increase our capital spending at the last town meeting. And we also did an override during a pandemic, so those are two things that show, at least, voting, the people who showed up at these town meetings and went to the polls are willing to invest money in their town, during a pandemic. So says a lot.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you,
Right,
Dana.
thanks.
Okay, next we have the diversity, equity, and inclusion statement.
So really quick update. Thank you for everybody who has provided feedback. Daniela and I are really looking forward to kind of doing some rewriting with all your feedback and hopefully putting something together that you can review by next meeting, not saying or guaranteeing that it is a final draft, but hopefully the next draft. The thing that I would like to ask is, because not everybody has provided their feedback, and it has been about a month and a half at least now that you've all had that draft. I would like to ask that if you haven't provided that feedback by, say, this weekend, for your permission, really as a group, for us to move forward on a next draft with the feedback that we have.
I think that's fair, Stephanie. And certainly if you guys feel that you don't have an opinion either way, just please express that, or you think it looks great and the content you feel is there. I think that's feedback that Stephanie and Daniela need as well.
Can we just clarify, as far as I know, there's two versions of the draft that we're looking at? There was the original one that Stephanie sent out, and then one that Martin sent out. Is that true?
So the one that I sent out, Marty provided his feedback and his rewrite, so that it's kind of whatever one you provide feedback on is going to be taken into consideration, because it's going to end up being probably rewritten from either standpoint. So if you could just, if you're not going to put your input onto the one that's on Google Doc, and you're reviewing the one that Marty sent out as his feedback, if you can just maybe let me know that, and what points you appreciated and what points maybe you think could be tweaked, or any ideas that you have. But ultimately, both versions are going to end up being rewritten to kind of be the next draft.
Great.
Go ahead, Marty.
Just responding to Doug, my recollection is that there was an original draft by Stephanie, then another draft by Beth. Well, it was given to everybody, and I don't know whether that's considered a draft or not. I see you waving your.
Disregard it.
All right. Okay, then there are two. I provided actually two revisions, but my first revision I changed my mind on. So the most recent one, which is on Google Docs, and I think I sent to everybody anyway, is my offer to the process.
Yep. Thank you, Marty. I think that's a great point. Like, if you feel that you want to rewrite some things as a way to provide feedback, you can do that as well, or just make commentary on whichever drafts are out there. I think that's what Stephanie's point was. Whatever speaks to you more, please comment on that, and all of our feedback will end up becoming a final draft that we can review and all get behind.
Yeah, this process, and this may be a matter for me. I'm not sure that I know what what the message is, what we're trying to do with this. So I'm hoping that when Stephanie and Daniela present what they feel is their final draft, they're able to explain as well what is trying to be achieved by this. I remember when we first talked about this, Dana asked the question of where are we going to print this? And at the time, I didn't really think that much about it. On reflection, it's sort of the sub question of that is, what are we trying to accomplish by making this statement? I have my opinions on what we ought to be accomplishing, but I don't know that there's a venue through which I can contribute that, which would help illuminate why I made the changes I did. But I think it's important to understand objectives in the process of understanding how you achieve the goal if you don't really understand what your objectives were.
So just to clarify, my understanding, and please correct me if everyone was looking at this a different way, was that this was an open letter from the Board of Trustees, but that we can't really implement or make any kind of policy commentary in this statement because the library is a separate entity. So this is really an open letter from the Board of Trustees, and that's how I was taking it. But if others were looking at it in a different way, please let me know. And Beth, I know that, you know, especially for the library, probably has their own policies. So
Yeah, I agree with you, what you just said, Stephanie. That's what I understood the goal to be, was on behalf of the library trustees. Mhm. Okay, great. Any other questions, comments for Stephanie or Daniela for the diversity statement? Dana, please.
Yes, I would add, I would think that would be closely aligned with the library's point of view too. I thought we were trying to be inclusive and let people know that we have been through historic times here through the pandemic and all the unrest and all of that. And we want to just make it very clear that we're a welcoming institution. And that's what I thought we were trying to do, which I thought really made sense. And I feel like we have to be on the cutting edge, so as to speak, because we really represent the community. And I have found that out more and more through the fundraising, that people really, really, really embrace a library as a community center. And they're so looking forward to it. And they've been waiting 40 years to have a library that we can really, can really provide the citizens with what we need. And our librarians have been working with like very small little spaces and not very much to accomplish all they have. So that was my thought. I'm sorry, I've been so busy. I haven't really worked on this, but I will review both of them. I apologize. It's been a busy month for me.
no, and I completely understand everyone being busy. It's just something that I don't want kind of put on the back burner any longer. So if everyone's okay with us moving forward with the feedback that we have by this weekend, we can at least continue with this process instead of it stalling out.
I will be. I just don't. I don't know. I don't get the sense. I don't really know what Marty was saying, that we don't know what his objectives were. So it would be good to know them. But I mean, I will give my input, and if I can't give my input, then I will be happy as a member of the trustees of the board. What the board decides, I go along with. That's part of being a trustee.
Well, let me just say, my objective is to speak to the community about what we believe and what we want to do with the community. It's not merely a statement of this is what we believe. This is what we would like the community to understand. To that end, I'm concerned about the density of the language and whether everyone will understand. I'm concerned about whether people who speak English as a second language will understand what we're saying about this. And they would be people clearly in our target area about inclusivity. Younger people who do not have a sophisticated vocabulary, people who are in their, doesn't matter, 5th, 8th, 9th grade may not understand. So those are the things that I was concerned about. I want to make sure that people are warmed to our invitation by this statement, that they'll like it. It'll put a smile on their face. I learned long ago, this is going to sound very trite, but the first rule of salesmanship is to try to get the customer to appreciate how much they will enjoy using this product or the service that you're offering. So with respect to that, I'd like to think that what we're saying in this statement will be received in that spirit. Oh yeah, I want to be part of that kind of library. And not say, ooh, what are they saying here? And it's just the way I look at it. I looked at an awful lot of diversity statements. I looked at awful lot of articles on how to write a good diversity statement. And uniformly, it's about keeping it simple, keeping it inviting, making sure people feel inclusive by virtue of reading it. That's just that's my concern. We'll see. I mean, Stephanie and Daniela will have to decide to what extent they think what I've put in is worth retaining, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Marty. Any other questions, comments on the diversity statement? Daniela, Stephanie, thank you for your work on that. We look forward to seeing a new draft from everyone's input. But I agree with you, Stephanie. We've had enough time to at least review it. Whether you've read it or not, or provided your commentary, you're right. This is something that we want to continue with, and we don't want it to stall out. So thank you for that. Very good. The next is a walkabout report. Beth, any issues with the current space worth noting?
No, and I did have someone come and clean the gutters. I don't know that they got leaves off of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
The gutters are clean.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, there is still a light out. The one down at the parking lot is out again. So Andy is aware, and he was going to ask DMH Electrical to come again and repair it. We're not open nights, really. I mean, one night a week, so we're doing a kind of makeshift floodlight situation on the porch to keep it safe for people who might be coming on the one night. But even though the solstice has not occurred yet, we are on an upswing with the sunset getting later and later. So,
do you have enough lighting on the porch where the pickups are?
Yes, I think the lights were on a timer, and they were off at one point, but I was able to fix that and adjust it. It's probably at 8 o'clock, certainly, it's a little dark if you're stepping off the porch and following the directions and going one way and around on through the grass instead of back the way you came. But like I said, I have 2 flood lamps, so if I'm the one doing the pickup, I'll put them out so that people can see.
So I think this is probably a good time to talk about snow.
Sure.
So do we feel it's still safe for after a heavy snow to do curbside pickup? And I think at least for tomorrow, Beth, I know you mentioned to me over email that the town's advocating for the library to stay home and not do curbside pickup, or just staff to stay home.
I think I just sort of said we're going to reschedule them.
Yeah.
So there will be no purpose for staff to be on site if there's no curbside pickup scheduled. And then the town decided that all staff should telecommute and be remote anyway. So I didn't ask permission to. I just decided we should probably proactively reschedule curbside. So when we have enough wording for a storm, I think that's all we do. And I think it's better to decide a day in advance. The weather looks like it's going to be bad. Let's just push it off. Than to tell people the day of and try and get in touch with them. No, sorry, curbside got canceled. So I'm trying to be more proactive and looking ahead. We are also looking at, we've asked Paul to kind of rebuild the bookshelves that we have out on that porch. so that we can put everything on a rolling bookshelf that we just wheel in and out, so that we're not running, out to the porch or having to keep that additional space clear. The town did clear it, the one storm that we had near Grafton Celebrates the Holidays. So it was safe for people the day after the storm during Grafton Celebrates the Holidays to go up and pick up their family fun bag. But if we can get the bookshelves rebuilt and the materials permanently stored on a wheeled bookshelf, it just streamlines everything. And we would be placing those in the no parking zone, kind of where the garden is. So there's no steps to deal with. That area is well lit. People can really just pull right up, hop out and grab their item and go. So that's what we're moving toward. I don't know how soon it's going to happen though.
So I do notice that the flow kind of directs people in a one-way pattern. I don't know that you'd be able to maintain that once you have enough snow covering the front lawn.
Another reason to move it.
So you would move the curbside out from the porch.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Completely. Yeah. So instead of using the porch, it would be along that curve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like across from the book drop. Yeah, which means that would have to be kept clear and plowed. But I think we just also have to, be flexible, and for people to be comfortable with. Sorry, I know you really wanted to get your book on Friday, but sorry, weather, we just couldn't. In spite of some really wet weather over the last 9 months, we haven't had. I don't think we haven't canceled for inclement weather, except for that maybe right before Grafton Celebrates the holiday. We canceled, like we told people that they had to pick up earlier, that if they couldn't come before noon because we would not be there from 1 to 4, they would have to get it the next day. But we've had success with just putting the brown paper bag in a plastic bag and putting a sticker label on the front, so you don't have to paw through the bags to see whose item belongs to who. And that's worked. So again, for like 9 months, we've been doing it 6 months, I guess. We haven't missed.
Well, I just want to say that I think because of the state of things coming into the winter, I do like the idea of the library is really not closed, but you're just rescheduling curbside pickup is all. So that, in the past, we would see a snowstorm coming, or it wouldn't be plowed properly, or Beth would have staff in the library, and we would say, okay, we need to decide as a board and let Beth know that she needs to close the library. I don't feel that we need to do that unless, for some reason there's a freak storm in the middle of the day and staff is, working on site. But I think this is actually makes it a lot easier and streamlined just to reschedule curbside.
Yeah. Thanks.
Very good.
And I also proactively checked with building department and DPW to make sure that they would be plowed in time for staff to get there to set out the material on Friday morning following the storm for the 10 a.m. pickup. And I know we're recording. My new trick is I tell them 2 hours. I lie. I say I need it done by 8:30 when really I need it open at like 5 of 10, so that they're not showing up 15 minutes before we're supposed to open, or for staff to report. And staff can report right up until like 5 of 10, because they're going to need time to clear off their cars on Friday morning. So we're still
right. And I understand the reason for that, because we have had staff. The library opens at 10, but the staff arrive at 9, and they're trying to walk through icy conditions, especially where that parking lot is. And they were parking over at the Trek stop, and they're trying to walk through the snow, and that was just not a good situation. So I'll support that decision, just to, ask for it to be cleaned earlier.
Of course, I would say that the only detriment now is because we're also practiced at telecommuting. We don't have a snow day tomorrow. We're telecommuting.
Yeah.
So the kids have a snow day, but we do not. So we'll be working. Email us your reference questions, and if you call the library tomorrow and leave a message, there won't be any message that we're closed. I can change it to say that curbside pickup has been postponed, but those messages will get bounced, to Susan, to Heidi, to me, and Sarah, and we'll be able to respond by phone call or email. So we're operating.
Yeah. I will offer that my wife's school has a snow day, but they're required to work, and all the kids are required to go to school on a snow day. It's
sad. It's sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, good. Any further discussion about inclement weather closings or the walkabout? Very good. So we're at 8:30 here. A fine-free library. I haven't really spoken with Daniela and Beth about the next phase of a draft policy. I think the first step was getting support for the fine-free library, at least to go fine-free during the pandemic. I know I've taken advantage of that a little bit myself, and I'm probably one of the closer ones to the library. But I do love that flexibility of not having to rush out and return something, at 8:59 during the week. You have to get it in the book drop just so that it's that you save $1. But I know our community appreciates that as well, I'm sure. Have you had any feedback, Beth, regarding patrons and late fines and fine forgiveness?
Not directly. People
Mhm.
don't seem to be surprised, and they always say thank you.
Great. Okay, so I think probably coming into the new year, we'll need to make getting that policy polished so that we can vote for it. And when we open the new space, that we can really do it with the grand opening and really truly be fine free. Doug, I think I saw your hand. You're on mute.
It wasn't related to fine free. It was related to another policy. Are we done with fine free?
Yes.
Okay. Can someone remind me, have we started a draft policy for the meeting room use policy? I don't believe we have. Okay. That is something I'd like to put on the list because it's going to creep up on us pretty quickly. So putting that together.
I'm being asked already about that for 2021 dates. So we just need to decide, we just need to start working on it. I know Danielle's really good at that. So I think it might take a little while, but I'm sure we can do it.
Yeah, and that's a great point about policy review. Daniela, do you know where we are in the policy binder for policies that need to be looked at?
I think this is a perfect time to reprioritize which policies were most important. I think right before we started experiencing the pandemic, we were focusing on ones that were, really important in terms of security and things in that issue. But now those have kind of shifted because there's not people in the library. And to your point, well said, is that the meeting use is going to be an issue. So you're right. I think we should put that front and center.
Okay. Great. So I think Beth Patch takes the minutes, but if Doug, you wouldn't mind just shooting her a note on that, just to add it to the next agenda.
Yep.
And Daniela, you're taking your own notes, so I'm sure. Very good. Stephanie, please.
Just a question. Once the library is open and functional, will we be able to kind of hold these meetings and take advantage of the community room? Just so if people are coming to, observe and participate in our meetings, they're also seeing the library that maybe they hadn't seen yet, or does it have to be in a town like office?
It has to be in an accessible space in town. And because we record, I'd say need some kind of access to recording equipment. It's easy enough to borrow a camera. And I thought that we have a live cable drop. We could do live meetings if we wanted to. But I think there's no reason that we couldn't meet in the community room.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Would that just be the kind of thing we have to put by on Grafton Cable?
Yeah, because they need to send somebody to record.
Yeah, there's also that 10-person meeting room. There's a conference room that holds 10 people. That would probably be a good size too.
So they would just be in the room with us, that's all, because they wouldn't have their separate studio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because at the municipal center, he has his booth over on the back there. Yeah.
I was just thinking it would be another way to highlight,
Mhm.
you know, all the work and all the money that the town put in. Even if we had the meetings in different spaces, it would just be another way to highlight it and promote it.
I think it's a good idea. I think in different spaces of the library. We'll see how busy it is too. It'd be nice to see how people will see that we actually meet for a long time too. But that's a good idea. I like that. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yep. And one of the things we need to also consider is that even after the vaccine comes out and, you know, the pandemic is less severe, that, you know, we still need to make sure that people can participate remotely as well. You know, because I don't know if it,
Yes.
even if I have a vaccine, I don't know that I'm still comfortable getting that close to people. You know what I mean? So we just have to consider that going forward. Okay, that was a good idea. Any other questions for the policy committee? Very good. So on to the directors. Oh, sorry. Let's. I have advocacy here. So Beth, I think you forwarded something along. Would you mind just going over that quickly?
Sure. So Mass Library Association periodically sends out advocacy alerts to directors. And one of the things that I got, I think in the last day or two, was a message that the governor was going to be vetoing 4 state library accounts. They're accounts that support the statewide delivery service. So, you know, in Grafton, we have, I don't know, 55,000 items, but we can't get 10 copies of every single bestseller so that everybody can have the book when they want it. And we rely on collections from the other 143 CW Mars libraries. And there's a network that coordinates the shared catalog so you can make the request on your computer and then get the book driven to Grafton and hand it off to you. And I don't know, I didn't look to see how drastically he's cut, but those are lines that keep getting reduced. And we really need the ability to move materials back and forth statewide to meet all the patron demand in as timely a manner as we can. So we don't want to lose the state delivery line. Another one I think was possibly support for the infrastructure for the state networks. And then there were 2, Mass Center for the Book was another one. Mass Center of the Book does a Massachusetts Book Award and draws attention to local authors and cultural content. And they put on monthly programs, and they're a really important program to have. And then they also have line items, another line item that was related to people with low vision and blindness. They're looking at cutting the budget, not the entire budget, but portions of the budget for the Mass Tucking Book and Braille Library program. So we never want to see any cuts to state aid. Does it impact Grafton directly? It impacts Grafton indirectly. So this is not like they're taking money out of the town budget or our library, but they're reducing the amount that they're paying to state services that Grafton residents and library card holders benefit from. So they sent out the legislative alert. There's a tiny little take action link at the bottom. You click on that, put in your contact information, and there's a form letter, which has a typo in it. So go through and edit it and put your own spin on it. Like I mentioned that my nephew is, you know, almost legally blind and has low vision, and it would be detrimental to lose that piece of the program that they're talking about reducing the budget for. And then Grafton residents request on average 18 to 20,000 items a year that our library either didn't buy or didn't buy enough copies of. So that's a lot of books coming in. Can you imagine if we had to buy an additional 20,000 items in the collection for Grafton patrons to have? And some of those might be $5 paperbacks, but some of them might be $60 video games. So we really want to keep facilitating those statewide services. So if you have a minute, it will go to your local representatives, and then they can pressure the governor to restore that funding.
And we're allowed to forward that along to our contacts as well. I'm not sure in what form we could put it on social media, but I guess would it be appropriate to do that as well?
Yeah, I think I might go and look for look at the Mass Library Association website page. It might be right there for you to share to your own page. I tend not to the library page, but
Yep.
yeah, I can. We are allowed to advocate for our library funding. So
Will that go to David Meridian and Michael Moore? Because I was going to send their emails. Okay. So as long as we change the letter, make it our letter, and then send it to those and send it off, it goes to the correct individuals. Okay.
you don't have to. If you don't have any time, at the minimum, put your name and just hit send.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if you can customize it, then they're aware.
Well, I'd like them to know that what you just said, 18 to 20,000
20,000 items a year come through.
items. Yeah.
Delivery. Yeah. Yeah. So it is in effect a cost saving to Grafton for me to not have to buy all of those items and to be able to get them and resource share with other local libraries.
Plus, people are used to that now. They really are. Everybody's like, oh, you can get it from CW Mars. Don't worry about it. They'll get it.
Because everybody's quarantining on both ends. It takes longer. It takes now 10 business days on average to get a book instead of 3. So it's hard. People hate the wait, and we've gotten complaints about it. You'd be even more upset if it was 0, though. And we're just like, nope, sorry, we can't buy it. And so-and-so has it. If their library's open, maybe you can go, or maybe they'll put it out for curbside. You have to drive yourself over, though.
So in other words, if I want a book that Westboro has, they may not be able to send it to me. I would have to get in my car and go get it. Yeah.
Yeah, if there wasn't funding for that service, yes.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you. So onto the director's report.
I wanted to share something because I'm just trying to get the right window to come up. And I'm never sure when I'm recording if like you're going to see on the video me digging around in my files to get my PDF to open. Sorry. So November, these numbers are in red because they went down. We had 712 curbside pickups in October and 590 this past month. We had 15 museum passes circulate in October, but only 5 in November. We call it No School November as a joke. There's actually a fair number of holidays in November, so maybe that was part of it. Circulation we're up to 44,000 items circulating for the year, physical books, and almost 30,000 digital items year to date. I think we had under 4,000 physical items go out in November. So an average month when we were open to the public, we might circulate anywhere from 10 to 15,000 items a month. We added 373 new items and issued 30, my screen is hiding the number, 33 new library cards, which was a decrease in items added and an increase in library cards. Reference questions decreased. I think it was closer to 400 last month. One thing that's interesting, I'm trying to get everybody on staff on board with using the same language as we track these questions. So somebody might say, I answered 19 readers advisory questions, but really what they mean is I answered 1 reader's advisory question to give somebody suggestions for what to read next, but then I placed 19 holds. There weren't really 19 readers advisory requests. So it takes some time to make sure that we're all on the same page with some of these concepts. Hold requests is definitely the bulk of the reference questions that we're getting, and where it says reference questions, those are just like straight things that we had to look up because somebody asked us a question. We're still doing some technology help over the phone for people. We get a fair number of questions about library card renewals, which is different from a request for a new library card, and questions about library accounts. And some of those were questions about fines on accounts, but also like, why is this book still checked out to me when I brought it back? And explaining the quarantine process, or discovering, oh, we actually just missed checking that back in, and here it is, and now it's off your record. Not a lot of questions about construction or programs. And then one thing that's interesting, a shift for this past month, is we had a lot of phone calls. Usually most of the questions are email, seconded by Facebook, but we had a lot of phone calls this past month, so I'm not sure why. I would say that we started doing a weekly report maybe 2 months ago for the town, and I've been putting the library phone number in almost every week for, if you have a question or you need curbside or you want to sign up for this or that, here's the phone number. So I don't know. You know, it could also be that people just weren't writing it down and now they are. We always hope the statistics are 100% accurate, but we are human beings and there's some margin for error. And then just, I know it's getting late, a couple of other things to share. We kind of contracted with Apple Tree Arts to do a series of pre-recorded videos. We're waiting, I think, still for the November numbers, but 244 views on YouTube for those shared videos in October. We put out 300 Halloween bags and thought they would be really, really popular, but only about half of them went. So they cleaned out, the candy that was in them was Dum Dums, which we kind of used year round for all different kinds of things. Nothing will go to waste. And then they saved everything else to just reuse for next Halloween. We celebrated the end of Dino-Vember with a dinosaur egg craft. People, really loved it. It was a baking soda egg dinosaur, and you could dissolve it with vinegar, and it explained the science behind it. It was really well received, and people posted pictures of the little dinosaur that they got out of their egg. So that was fun and interactive. It's really, people are zoomed out. No kids don't want to come and sit online for a Zoom program after they've been in school Zooming all day. So the staff have been really creative with coming up with things people can do at home and then take a picture and share it and generate some excitement. And then for December, maybe you'll see pictures next month. We did a lightsaber activity, and I think they put together 40 or so. They put out a limited number each day. When they were gone, and you could try again the next day. But then for the folks who didn't get it, they put the instructions online. So I think they're still on Facebook. If you want to make your own lightsaber, you can go and do that. Sarah's been doing a monthly preschool story time at both of the lower elementary schools. She says the focus for November was celebrating families, being thankful for our friends, and they used flannel boards pieces to do the song 5 Little Ducks. We had a fall reading program that concluded with the winter reading program launching December 1st. For November, 6 new registrations in Beanstack. 3 active readers earned 28 badges for reading 42 books, and participants completed 177 activities and read 300 minutes. So this software is really cool, and it gives us a lot of metrics. Apparently, though, nobody did enough activities to actually complete a challenge and I think earn a badge for November. The winter reading program, if you don't already know, is Star Wars themed. It started December 1st, and you can either go to graftonlibrary.org/WRP for winter reading program, or go to graftonlibrary.beanstalk.com to sign up directly. If you sign up, then we'll give you a lanyard. We're doing that through curbside pickup. There's been themed programs and activities that will continue through the end of February. And we're bringing back my friend and fellow library director, Peter Shuzero, to do a Star Wars symposium via Zoom. I forget what date in February they picked, but I will alert you all. I would assume everyone would come in costume and with their Lego Star Wars to show off, as per usual, as part of that program. For Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, we put together 100 bags, but they were running out, and Sandia and her daughter was there to help that day, put together, I think, another 30 bags, and they gave out 124 total. So it sounds like there was definitely foot traffic during Grafton Celebrates the Holidays. In November, we did 5 book discussions on Slack and took our first reference question, I think, via Slack. The Grafton ukulele musicians met to play and sing together on Zoom. The book wagon went to Crescent Manor and checked out 47 items to 9 resident participants. We had 1 volunteer who put in a total of 6 hours. We did certify 5 different adult volunteers this past year as part of the tax rebate program that seniors can participate in. But I think two have come back and kind of been vetted and are following all of our protocols. Just 5 museum pass reservations. As of today, I think only 3 museums are remaining open. I think 2 zoos have some kind of drive-through or outdoor holiday type exhibits, but the library's museum passes aren't good for those. Those are like after hours fundraising kinds of things. So it's been some work to keep up with who's open, who's closed, who's accepting passes, who isn't. We are really going to miss Jen Parisi very much because she handles so much of that museum pass program. And she also worked really hard on the interlibrary loans that are not through the CW Mars network. So when no one in CW Mars has it and you want it, and we have to go outside of the system or even outside of the state, that was something that she was particularly responsible for. And Susan reported that she did a lot of work before she left to make sure she had all the instructions ready for the next person and really create that succession and streamline the program. And then in between, doing those things and serving the public and adding materials and DIY programs, staff participated in various webinars. I have a whole list from Donna, Biblioteca, participating in meetings like the Catalogers Roundtable. Worcester does a weekly reads and book chat where they promote books. So far, my staff are just attending and no one's wanted to do their own, but maybe that'll come along down the line. Exploring databases like Ancestry.com on their own. So even those that are not on site are keeping really busy and keeping up with their professional development. I'm happy to answer questions.
So just on the last thing you said, I really love the professional development and exploring and keeping up with some of the databases and whatnot. How is that being translated to benefit for the community, in the sense that, like, I know databases have always been kind of a sticky wicket. Like, we have all these really great databases and they've gone through and they've, they used to go to schools and try to promote the databases that way. And I always love to see what's available, but people don't know about it, then they don't go looking for it, right? So anything.
Yeah, the reader's advisory. So almost everyone now has had a chance to play around with Novelist, and some people have taken their Novelist webinars, which range from, if you like this particular series, or you read this particular genre, here are the key terms to search in Novelist to get read-alikes to show up, and just the volume of recommendations and suggestions. Suggestions is really the word. Reading suggestions that we're doing for the public based on those reader's advisory requests that come in. That's a direct benefit. And a few people, like if somebody asks me, I will print out the results from Novelist and put it in their book bag with the materials that I've selected. And right on there, there's the key terms, and I'll often provide instruction for how they can try it themselves if they want to. We're always happy to do it for them, for patrons. But that's a tool like that staff use a lot, that the general public has access to, right from our website. Freegal is another one. So we had Freegal for 6 months. I think 1 or 2 people maybe have done some playing around with it. So Jen, who does the baby lap sit story time, made a list of lap sit songs available to stream through Freegal for the people who used to come in person and bounce the babies in their laps to the music. So you can recreate almost her whole program at home. She'll put together a take-home kit with a copy of the board book and the finger plays, and then you go online to Freegal and you download or listen to the playlist. It doesn't completely recreate the experience, but it helps. And then for like Donna, who's dabbling in Ancestry, that's more of she's probably not going to teach a class on it. But when somebody calls and they have a question about it, now we have somebody on staff who really, like, she's done her own family tree, so she's kind of the logical person to push that question off to get it answered.
Excellent. That's fantastic, and that's kind of what I was looking for, because right, because all the staff development really is for the community, and certainly when they can't be doing curbside, like tomorrow, we love to see that kind of staff development. I'm sure they love it too, learning about new databases and things that benefit us. But to that end, I mean, it almost might be interesting too, like you said, that I forget who you mentioned, who it was, but like for Ancestry, they're not ready to teach a class on it, but maybe just a way to promote it too. Maybe they can write a couple of blurbs about, even just to add to your newsletter. I don't know if that's appropriate to put it in there, but certainly just a couple of sentences on it, because, like, what did they find that was really cool about it that may intrigue other people and that would turn them on to it? Because your newsletter is really a great resource, I find, to kind of understand what's going on at the library, and also what's coming up in the next month in December and whatnot, because I'm not going to the website and trying to figure out and go for those updates. So I think the newsletter is a really powerful tool, and because it's right there in my inbox, like, I clean up my inbox, whether I delete something or I say, oh, this is interesting, and take a look at it. So I think that might be a good tool.
Okay, thanks.
Hmm.
Do you, I think last time we talked about this kind of idea with master classes. Do you think any of those topics and trainings, like Aaron said, would be appropriate to have, Zoom masterclass sessions? And do you think the community would participate in any of those?
Possibly. I think the challenge is adding the training for staff and how to put together and teach something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just envisioning a Zoom call where they share their screen and show people how to walk through this, this resource or something. But
Yeah, I know like pronunciator was a tough one to get going with. That took me a while, and I'm pretty tech savvy. So if somebody, is good at, and the librarians were great. They understood how it worked, and will help you get started. But that's a good, like, maybe not even a master class, but like a getting started,
Yeah,
with this or that.
yeah, I think we'd have to make it feel really safe for the staff.
Yep.
Playing around with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that they're not feeling like they need to have all the answers. They feel they put a lot of pressure on themselves to do it right and do really well and be perfect, and that can then sometimes get in your own way because then you don't produce.
yeah, I find that as an advantage of these type of classes, because it allows people to ask questions and interrupt the presentation so they can ask questions as they go and really can learn. But you're right, it does put a little pressure on whoever's presenting, that they may or may not know all the answers to the questions.
Yeah, we did get everybody to contribute like a reader's advisory slide, so maybe that can be the project for the new year. Yeah, but that took some, just getting a picture of everybody also took some. They're very phobic, some of them. Technology phobic.
Great. Well, thank you, Beth. Any other questions for Beth on the director's report? Very good. Well, we are at 8:57 p.m. I think that was the last item on the agenda, unless there's any visitors' comment. I don't think so. But I think we had a lot of great discussion tonight, and it was really great to see everybody for our last meeting of the year. I look forward to seeing some of you in person in the new year, and maybe at the new library. So great. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Karen and Doug seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Karen?
Aye.
Daniela?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Marty?
I could read his lips. He said aye.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm winding down here. Excuse me.
Let me be perfectly clear. Aye.
Very good, Marty. And Stephanie?
Aye.
Great. Well, thank you. It was a great meeting and good to see everybody. Have a good night.